We're here with Zach Nadler, CEO of VaynerSpeakers.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, so good to be able to connect with you once again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about a couple things.
Sure.
VaynerSpeakers, it's the latest venture under VaynerX, founded by Gary Vaynerchuk, who we
Mm-hmm.
all know and love. You are the CEO of this company. But the speaker industry, it's continuing to evolve and change. And we're going to talk about how VaynerSpeakers is participating in that change. You've worked in the space for a long time. You used to work for CAA. You represent Gary V for a period of time. How long have you worked with Gary?
Gary and I have worked together now almost 10 years. So he was a client when I was at CAA. We worked together and, from the early days of his speaking career and built it to where he is today.
What was your involvement in working with Gary? So you say you were involved in his speaking career for about a decade. Was that getting him speaking gigs?
Yeah, well, as a speaking agent, it's our responsibility to find opportunities, maximize the deals for our clients, work with them to figure out what their strategy is and best optimize their speaking profile. So Gary and I worked really closely together, and we've always had a great relationship to be able to be creative, do different things and work with different events and find opportunities that benefited him as he grew his other brands.
Now let's talk about some of those brands. There's VaynerMedia, which is agency services. A lot of us know about that. There is Empathy Wines, which just recently launched. There's several other brands, PureWow, within the family as well. VaynerSpeakers, what is Gary's thought working with you in terms of launching a bureau for speakers?
Sure. Well, Gary obviously is a prolific speaker. Having been someone who's been in events around the globe for the last 10 years and built a profile to be known as one of the best speakers in the world, he has a certain expertise and a knowledge that we're trying to take advantage of as we build this company. So it's something where it's a natural fit for someone who is a speaker and is running a company that is driven by attention to find ways to capitalize on that attention and provide speakers to the events that are happening out there. It's an evolving world, and Gary's always been innovative to stay ahead of that, and we're trying to do the same thing with VaynerSpeakers.
What does it take to be one of the best speakers in the world?
Practice, right? Gary's been out there and on stages for years. There have been years where he's been doing 100, 150 events a year. So it's something where it's always about just furthering your craft. And I think, anyone can be a great speaker, but what it takes is not an agent, but being on stage and being a great speaker. You gotta have to have a message that resonates with people. You have to have a story to tell. Gary's done a great job of that throughout his career to really find a way to captivate audiences through storytelling, but also help them pursue whatever their goals are, whether it's personal or professional.
Now, I know from previous conversations with you, Zach, you've talked about story. You just mentioned storytelling. But how important is a speaker's backstory?
Well, it's not the only thing, but it's one factor. There are a variety of reasons that people are getting up on stage, but it's really important is understanding what the audience is trying to get from them. So what a speaker is trying to tell, if it's their personal story, well, it's very important. If it's a story of their company's brand, that's the important piece. But it's always about a story. If anyone's getting on stage for 30 to 45 minutes and just talking at an audience, if they're not telling a story, they're not going to captivate and keep the audience's attention. So it's important that they're cognizant of what they're trying to say in a way that is meaningful. You don't want to go see a movie that's boring, that has no story. You're not going to listen to music that doesn't inspire you. And speakers are just another form of entertainment that just happens to be more educational and informative. So regardless of the message, as long as there's a smart story behind it, it's going to be impactful.
Now, having followed Gary's career over the last 10 years, that's motivated myself to also follow in those footsteps of being a speaker, specifically in marketing and social media. Nowadays, you have real estate, insurance agents, you have all these different genres, if you will, or niches, where people are becoming thought leaders in their industries. What would you say to the person that's sitting out there that wants to be on stages? What are some of the key things that they need to do to put themselves in a position to speak?
Well, it's about getting out there. It's, like Gary did from the first days he was out there. He was doing free speeches for every event locally that benefited him and his business. It's, having that story to tell and then finding audiences that it's going to be meaningful for. It's the same idea with social media. You can create content, but if nobody wants to read or listen to the content, then there's no value to it. So if you want to be the best speaker in the world, you may be a great presenter, but if you don't have great content, there's no value there. So it's finding that value that you can deliver for the audiences and events that exist. And so if you're looking to build your profile and become a bigger speaker, you have to get out there. You have to do events. You have to find reasons that it makes sense for people to bring you in. No event's going to bring you in just because you are a great speaker. Events are going to bring you in because you have something to share with their audience.
Now, I know one of my mentors told me early on when I was starting my career in public speaking, they said, Carlos, you have to speak at least 50 events for free. You have to do panels, moderate, host, even do free keynotes before you ever get paid. And I said to that person, like, you're absolutely crazy. No way. I'm going to go out, I'm going to do maybe like a handful, and then I'm going to start charging. And I realized early on there's conferences that don't have budget, there's conferences that have limited budget, and they're bringing in the bigger names like a Gary Vaynerchuk. They're bringing in subject matter experts that have been in this game for a long time. So I decided to take the path of, you know what, it's experience. Overall, it's an opportunity versus money. You have a lot of folks nowadays that they want that quick career path to success. Would you say that 50 events is accurate?
I don't think that it's really a specific number. I mean, it seems plausible. I think the reality is that you can start charging for speeches when it becomes more beneficial for you to be at that event making money than whatever else you're doing, right? Most speakers aren't just speakers. Most speakers have other businesses, other things that they're involved in. I think that it's something where you need reps. You need to be out there and do as much as you can, going to any event as possible, and helps you build your profile and your career in speaking. But there's no hard, fast number of you have to do this many events. It really just comes down to when you're ready and when the demand is there to bring you to other events.
Now let's bring this full circle, back to VaynerSpeakers. So you work with Gary, you come over to VaynerSpeakers, you're CEO of the company, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's awesome, my man. So I'm sure you are getting hit up like crazy.
Certainly are.
So Gary came out with this announcement, he tweets it out, he puts it on his IG, and he's directing everyone to go to you and not to him. What was the mindset behind that?
Well, I mean, I think it's something where Gary and I just worked together for so long. It was, it's part of the fun of working with Gary. We knew it was happening. We are certainly out there, and we're announcing our client roster, shortly, and we are going to be signing exclusive clients who we'll be working with. But it's something where Gary has the attention of a lot of people. There are great speakers out there. Maybe we don't know about them, so we want to be able to explore and pursue any and all opportunities that exist.
So let's break down some of the things you said. You've already signed talent. I know one of the public names is Tom Bilyeu.
Sure.
There's others that you haven't announced yet.
Correct.
What is the criteria of the folks either that you've signed so far that you haven't announced, or the ones that you're looking to sign?
Well, there's no real criteria. Again, this is more of an art than a science. We want to find a complementary roster of talent that all has that story to tell, is meaningful. We are focusing in the entrepreneurial business world. We want to find speakers who can share a message that impacts an audience that is general and not so niche, but may have an expertise in a particular area. So we are, every speaker's bureau under the sun. Everyone has a Navy SEAL. Everyone has someone who climbed Mount Everest. Everyone has people who fill certain categories. We're not necessarily looking to fill certain categories. We want to sign the right people. We're not looking to fill a quota. We're looking to find the right people that we can be successful with, whether that is young, up-and-coming developmental talent that hasn't been out there before, or people like Tom who have been great speakers and done plenty of events for a long time, and everyone in between. So we're looking to find underexposed talent that deserves to have their message out there and resonate with as many audiences as we can.
One of the key phrases, and thank you by the way, that's really helpful. One of the key phrases that you said before, or terms that's often used in the speaking industry, is exclusive. For someone that's not necessarily familiar with that term, what does that mean?
So exclusivity typically means you have an agent or a manager or someone that you are directing traffic to. It becomes a funnel where opportunities are coming to them.
Okay.
And so exclusivity typically means you have one point of contact, whether that's an agent or an agency that represents you for your speaking engagements.
Will VaynerSpeakers be doing everything end-to-end, i.e. pitching, handling contracts, handling billing, booking travel?
Yeah, we'll be a full-service speakers bureau.
Will that be you, or will that be a team that you build?
We have a team of people here, yeah. So we'll be working with a variety of people to kind of handle each aspect of the event. But we are full service from start to finish.
The other thing that you said that really stood out to me was up and coming. So when you say up and coming talent, I presume these are folks that have a passion for teaching, they have a passion for speaking, and they just haven't been developed yet necessarily? Or are you referring to YouTubers?
It's
Instagram
again, it's
careers?
not any one particular area. It's really something where the right people shine through. When I started working with Gary, he was a developmental talent. And so anyone who saw 10 years ago that Gary's going to be who he is, I think, it's fortuitous. So it's something where it's finding the right people that make sense, who have a message to say, who are on a great path and trajectory, And we think we've done a good job of finding some great up and coming speakers, but it's having the talent on stage, the message to share with an audience, and the background that resonates and helps them get that message across. Anyone coming on stage and just preaching is great, but if they don't have a background where they can speak from a level of expertise, it doesn't really give them the weight they need to really be powerful.
So you're looking for subject matter experts that can teach. Now, here is the $1 million question to all my colleagues out there that I'm sure are going to be watching this and taking notes. So how does someone get on your radar?
Well, like Gary said, email me. People are coming to us for the website, emailing me directly, calling me. I'm happy to speak with anyone. The reality is we're building a business from the ground up. So we've already heard from about 1,000 people. We're not signing 1,000 clients. If we sign 1,000 clients, we're not going to be able to help 1,000 clients. So we're being very cautious of that, but there are a lot of people that maybe we're not signing now that we're looking at down the future. So it's something where we're trying to grow this brand and build out a client roster that makes sense, but we want to deliver for the clients that we bring in. So we're being very specific with what we're looking for when it comes to being able to deliver for these folks.
So would you recommend then, outside the email, sending you a tweet with a video, sending you a private message on Instagram, anything and everything?
Anything and everything. To your point, doing 50 events a year, or 50 events before you get paid for a speech. The value of that is you have a reel, right? You have a background of, I've spoken at these events, this is the feedback I've gotten when I spoke there, this is video of me speaking, these are the topics I've spoken on, these are the reps I've gotten, so now I'm better than I was, this is why I deserve to be on stage, and this is where people are asking me to speak. That'll gives us a portfolio of understanding, well, what's the opportunity, right? If somebody has been doing speaking for 15, 20 years and has an ample business, why are we going to be able to help them in a way that someone else hasn't been able to help them to date, right? It's understanding the full portfolio of their life and their speaking world and seeing how we can fit into that.
I love this because you've been in the business for a long time. This has been a big part of your career. And on the flip side, not only do I speak, but I also have a lot of friends that are speakers, and we have this mindset that you have to be at the big events like the social media marketing worlds, the South by Southwest, the web summits in order to be considered legit. Is that fact or fiction?
Neither. The reality is, some events are great, some events are not great. It's all about the motivation of what you're trying to do. If you're trying to build your brand, those are great events to be at. Huge audiences, great stages where you can get great reels and share a message with a large group. But if you're not trying to build your brand, maybe those aren't the right events for you. There's a proliferation of fantastic events, right? TED at one time was the best event in the world. They are a fantastic event now. There are a lot of TEDx's. Some are much better than others. And I think the reality is that there's no, secret path to success here, right? It's about getting out there. And again, the end of the day is it's not an agent's responsibility to make someone famous as a speaker. Ultimately, agents educate events and event producers and give them the best education to pick their speakers. But at the end of the day, it's the events themselves that are making these choices. So what the speakers should focus on if they want to build their own career is making themselves as relatable and as interesting to an event to want to bring them in. And then the agents can help by presenting them and educating these customers across the world and putting them in front of people that may not be thinking about them. And so that's kind of the role of what we do, but I think it's something where everyone's at a different point in their life. Some people running huge businesses, going to a web summit makes a lot of sense if they're trying to expand into Europe. Some people use speaking as a networking tool. Some people use speaking as a business development tool. Others, it's financial gain. So all of these different elements plays into the strategy of what you should be looking for and what your plan should be.
Should someone be in this business solely for money?
I can't tell anyone not to be.
Okay. Touche. I respect that. One of the things that stood out was, once again, you speak at 50 events, or however many number it is, you're getting experience. The key is, though, documenting. Document and have that content that lives somewhere. YouTube, Instagram, wherever it might be. So then if you're presenting yourself as a potential speaker to a bureau like VaynerSpeakers or an executive like yourself, you can go ahead and at least have something to show them. Now, kind of bringing it back home to Gary. You've worked with him for a decade now, you said. What stood out to you about Gary V when you met a younger Gary V?
Well, what was fascinating about Gary, and I think a lot of people should look at, is he didn't, when he started speaking, he wasn't who he is today. And so when he would get up on stage and ask, how many of you know who I am, no one would raise their hand. And that certainly changed over time. But as he's built VaynerMedia into this enormous company that has all sorts of successes, his brand has also grown. So he's not someone who gets on stage and tells you this is what you should do. I'm going to teach you how to do this. He's someone who's living the life. And so by building his own brand while he's built his company's brand has been very beneficial to him on stage because it gives him the credibility. I think a lot of people try and get out there and just say, I'm an expert in this, and whether or not they have the knowledge, there's no reason people should believe them. And then vice versa, there's a lot of great speakers out there who don't do a lot of speaking because they're busy running their Fortune 500 company. And so for those people, they can get out there and deliver a speech and people instantly know who they are, instantly know what their brand is, but they're not motivated to necessarily do it. So it always, there's obviously a gray area somewhere in between there, but I think, it's important that people get out there and realize that people aren't going to book you just because you're a good speaker. You have to have a reason, and it can be any number of reasons, but you have to give people a reason to book you. And things like footage, that helps make the decision a lot easier.
What else makes that decision easy? So what for you is really compelling?
Being tied to a great brand, having built a business, obviously being a compelling speaker. If there is footage and reels and information available about whether or not you are a good speaker, testimonials, understanding where your career has gone and where you want it to go, both on and off the stage. I mean, these are all things that kind of play into what a person's life resume looks like and kind of shows you what the opportunities will be.
Zach, you have hit the nail on the head. My man, thank you so much
Thanks,
for your
Carlos.
time. Where can the viewers out there learn more about VaynerSpeakers and how can they connect with you?
Come to VaynerSpeakers.com and you'll find out all sorts of new information soon.
And where can they connect with you?
I'm at Zach, Z-A-C-H, at VaynerSpeakers.com.
We want to get you more Twitter and Instagram followers and more DMs
At
from
Zach
potential
Nadler.
clients.
Yeah, bring it on.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Carlos. I appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.